Chris Broussard is in New York City. Of course he is, because that's where Anthony Davis is going to end up, via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. Chris, listen, if I was Zion and Nike, I'd like to see him in New York or a bigger market. I get it. It is what it is. David Griffin is a smart, capable GM and the world's luckiest GM. He's been in 5 lotteries. He's won 4. But let me just throw this at you. If I'm Griffin, I think a bunch of draft picks in R.J. Barrett feels big, optimistic. I can bring in another rookie to take some of the pressure off Zion. The Lakers giving me the 4th pick always hurt Lonzo, always hurt Brandon Ingram. I'm sorry, Chris. That doesn't feel as optimistic and as assured as R.J. Barrett and Zion. This whole thing to me feels like the Knicks is now the trading partner for Anthony Davis. Does it not?
Well, what it comes down to, Colin, is how does New Orleans feel about this draft from 4 down? We all know, and I've heard you talk about the scouts that you've talked to and executives around the league. Most do view it as a 3-player draft. And now there are some that like Cam Reddish as much as R.J. Barrett, or maybe a little bit more. If New Orleans is one of those groups that likes Reddish as much as Barrett, or somebody else at 4 as much as Barrett, then they might deal with the Lakers in that situation. But if they view it as a 3-player draft like most do, then the Knicks are certainly a team you may want to deal with. Because, number one, the Knicks are one of 2 teams that I know Anthony Davis would stay with long term.
Okay.
New York Knicks, Los Angeles Lakers.
All right.
Number 2, what better storyline? We know this league is about, in addition to great teams and talent, storylines. You got R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson, the great roommates, the great friends, both coming from Duke. This would be like if you had brought Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon together right away in the NBA.
Yes.
And so I agree with you. And look, Mitchell Robinson, I know a lot of people don't know him, very athletic, shot blocker, basically a 7-footer. He's a guy, if I'm New Orleans, I want thrown into that deal. He's a nice little rookie that could be a good role player in this league.
Yeah, so
one more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing on this. They may go out and get a 3rd team involved. And that way, New Orleans could get another, maybe a veteran who's solid, in addition to an R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and some other pieces.
By the way, there are stories yesterday. I was told 2 days ago that the Pelicans, Gail Benson, would prefer to get Anthony Davis out of the West and would prefer not to do a deal with the Lakers. There's one report today they won't do a deal with the Lakers. What do you make of that report?
Well, first of all, that's standard operating procedure. No team wants to send a player into their own conference, a great player that they're going to have to face. And then, of course, there's the animosity. And I get it. If I'm New Orleans, the last team I want to deal with are the Lakers, because you're trying to get our best player. And really, you almost ruined our franchise if not for winning that draft lottery. However, it would be foolish to completely, absolutely refuse to deal with the Lakers. You can say they're a last resort, but you have to keep them at the table because, number one, they're leverage. Even if you don't want to deal with them, they're leverage against other teams. If I threaten Danny Ainge or New York and say, look, I will do this Lakers deal, or if they at least think I'll do the Lakers deal, I can get more out of them. And then finally, at the end of the day, Colin, as a GM, I have to do what is best for my basketball team. If somehow the Lakers came up with a deal, say a 3-team deal, where I just got, it was so much better than the other offers that I was going to get elsewhere, and I know it's going to make the Lakers great, but it's also going to be great for me, I would do that. But yes, the Lakers are a last resort. If it's anything close, they're sending him to the East instead of L.A., but they need to keep him at the table for leverage.
By the way, I was saying this earlier. I don't think we realize how much better the Warriors are than the rest of the league. Steve Kerr has missed 12 playoff games. They're 12-0. KD's missed 4 playoff games in this dynasty in Golden State. They're 4-0. And they're 12-3 when Steph misses. As good as the Bulls were with MJ and Pippen, if Scottie missed a game, it wasn't the same team. If Phil or Pippen missed a game, it wasn't the same team. What do we compare this dynasty to? Because, Chris, they're an 8-point favorite tonight without Boogie Cousins and without KD. What do you make of that?
Well, it's about culture. I said it in the first year of this quote-unquote dynasty, 2014-15, when the Warriors shocked everybody and won the championship. Steph Curry, while a completely different personality, he is the Tim Duncan of Golden State. Duncan went in there, set a culture. It was professional. It was, follow the leader in Greg Popovich, do what the coach says, and that everybody else had to buy in because he was the best player. Steph has done that in Golden State. It's fun. It's selfless. Him bringing along Durant, letting Durant become the best player and not having an issue with it. That's selfless. That's what this team's culture is. And everybody respects Steph because of his character. And so he set a great culture. And look at San Antonio. They have had over the years players go in there who couldn't do anything elsewhere. A Matt Bonner is productive. A Gary Neal is great in the finals for them. They go elsewhere, they disappear. Golden State is the same way. Remember we talked last week. Is this team, can they be as good as they were before Durant? Well, they don't have the bench they used to have. No, the bench back then wasn't that great individually. Leandro Barbosa was old. Festus Ezeli, Brandon Rush. They left Golden State, didn't do anything. Even Mo Spates didn't do anything elsewhere. Now you've got plug in these guys to the culture, and all of a sudden Quinn Cook looks really good. Jonas Jerebko looks better than he ever did in Detroit. Kevin Looney, Damian Jones, they're productive. It's about the culture. It's a great credit to Steph, number one, and also Steve Kerr and the rest of the players and guys in that organization.
By the way, I don't know who's dressing you, but, boy, you look tight today. You look like a CEO of a big company today, Chris Broussard. I got a minute left. Kawhi Leonard looked shot last night. They asked him to take 39 shots in Game 7 against Philly. He was out of gas last night. This does have a mellow Syracuse, one and done, unbelievable talent, surrounded by guys. What do you give the Raptors chances of retaining him in a minute?
Well, that's a great point because a lot of people haven't pointed to, you're exactly right, he was fatigued. He's never used to playing 40 minutes. He's playing 40 minutes a night. In San Antonio, they rest you. He played 34 minutes a game there, and so he's fatigued. But as far as your question, I still think one of the LA teams, mainly the Clippers, are the front runner. I would go Toronto number 2. I think Clippers are a pretty good favorite, but I'm not going to rule out Toronto. 1 year to recruit a guy, Colin, is a lot. And that bonding experience that those fans, that city, those teammates, heck, the nation had with Kawhi after that Game 7 should not be understated. He's having a great experience with these teammates. So that could be a factor. And also this, Colin, when he left San Antonio, he could have gotten a 5-year, $220 million deal. Now he's in Toronto, the max he can get, 5 years, $190 million. If he leaves elsewhere, he can only get 4 years, $141 or something around there. So you're talking about already giving up $30 million. Now giving up another $50 million. I'm just saying if it's close, if he's like, yeah, I want to go to LA, but I really do like it here. We got a team. I'm in the East. We could get to the finals. We could maybe win it. Those money numbers could become a factor. I still think the Clippers are the favorite, but the money is something that shouldn't be discounted.
Chris Broussard looking tight today in New York City. That's a power lunch jacket tie.
East Coast, baby.
No question. Everybody's a little tighter on the East Coast. We're wearing flip-flops out here. Good seeing you, Chris. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.